What's good? What's good, everyone? How you doing? You guys, we have another podcast video coming at you, baby. I'm gonna be doing a lot more podcasts, but we got another one coming at you with Sergeant D, baby. He's a sergeant in the Army, super cool guy. We get a lot of cool questions about the military. If you're ever interested in the military, please check this video out. If you like it, subscribe. If you got any comments, hit the comment section up. You guys enjoy the video. It's super cool. We get a lot of deep talk about military and a lot of different stuff. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I love you all. Have a great day and stay drippy, baby.
So like I said, I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, fell in love with it, and then it really opened my eyes because like I joined at a time of war. Like when I joined in 06, like if you didn't think that you weren't going to deploy to Iraq or Afghanistan, you're just lying to yourself. So I knew what I was getting into, but I honestly thought that, at the time I was like, oh, well, active duty is going to go and deploy, like they're going to take the National Guard and Reserve, in the end of the war to go in and kind of pick up the pieces, almost like a support type mission. Nope. My first sergeant showed up to my graduation from the unit that I was belonged to in California, because there was 4 of us that were going to all the same brigade in California, and he came out there to come tell us all to say, take your 2 weeks of leave once you leave here. Here are your orders, and you need to report to Sacramento, because that was where the headquarters was out of, and here's your mobilization orders. And we're like, mobilized for what? And like, we were originally supposed to go to Afghanistan, but then the mission changed and we were going to Iraq within like 4 months. So
how long was your first deployment?
My first deployment was 12 months.
Which deployments were you on?
2. So 12 months, and then the next one was only 6 months. 6 months to Afghanistan. Short tours, stuff like that. So there were tensions between the family. Like my older brother would run off with his friends, and my little brother would run off with his friends. But I always stayed home to
Sounds like my family.
Yeah, just to hold them down.
My oldest sister would run off with her friends, and I'd run off with my friends.
And then
the two middle kids.
Just stay there and just trying to hold them down.
Monic was still he'd go off and do some crazy shit, but Liz, hey Holland, she was always she was definitely the rock. She's like the true middle, so that's funny.
So so I came back. I was already ready to go though. Like I had it mentally prepared, and I had a blast. I knew what I was getting myself into. I was mentally prepared for it. Like we had some really hardcore drill sergeants that were actually coming back from like back to back 3, because they were all together in the same field artillery unit. They had 3 years of rotations to Iraq, Afghanistan, Iraq. And so what their branch manager did, which that's who kind of controls our job, they were like, hey, we're not going to move you and your families anymore, but we're going to put you on the trail. And it was like being a drill sergeant is literally almost equivalent of being deployed but being home, because you're always got to be there with the soldiers.
You live that life.
Yeah, you're there
because you're training them.
Exactly.
Is it like, do drill sergeants get like? Is it just something like you get paid anymore?
So it's called SDAP, Special Duty Assignment Pay, and they get it's $375 additional a month, and just for being a drill sergeant, And so it's a minimum of 2-year commitment, and then you can extend for another year if you want to.
Are there like any just drill sergeants who've been in there for 20, 30 years?
No, so drill sergeant is not like, it's an additional duty. Okay. It's not like an MOS. So they try and align MOS, drill sergeants with the MOS they're training. So that way you're also doing some hip pocket training when there's some downtime to actually prepare them like, hey, look, we're teaching you the bare basics in AIT. I'm a firm believer in the Army that we have like a 10, 20, 70 model, and that's like our learning curve. It's kind of like the crawl, walk, run. So 10% of it you're going to learn by just, Google research, doing your own, looking in regulations on your own, and kind of interpreting what you think that job's going to be. That other 20% is what the Army is going to teach you. They're going to teach you the bare basics at skill level 1 for enough to somewhat make you dangerous. Like you're going to know your job a little bit, but it's now going to be up to your leaders and you to apply that initiative to actually become subject matter experts in your job. That other 70%, it's all in the job. You know what I mean? Like just
daily learning,
just going to the field. Finding that mentor, that leader that you can just latch onto and just absorb every single all the knowledge they have. You know what I mean? Like
that's like the biggest thing that's helped me in my life is a mentor.
Yep.
It's hard to get a mentor, not hard, but most people don't look for it. Like, get a fucking mentor, like someone older than you who can give you some advice and help you out that you trust. Like, that's helped me so much and has set me on the right path. So, such a big thing, such a big thing.
So so I actually have 3 mentors. Two of them are military and one of them's he's just a regular civilian, but like he's been like my best friend all the way through, like supported me. Like would send me. He was that guy that would send me like 2 care packages, and the first one would be like just crazy ass shit, stuff from like Spencer's and everything like that.
I love it.
And like what the fuck? And then he would also send me this stuff because like when we were in Iraq, like in the areas we were at, like we were fortunate enough because we were a group. So like if we needed stuff, we could get it, but we had to like put it in order, and then the base supply would then send it in packages, and we'd get it. But for the guys that were just out there, just occupying one combat outpost where that's all they did was just secure the areas. Those guys were just living off of MREs and water. I mean, showers maybe once a month.
The longest
you know what I mean?
you wouldn't have a shower.
So
I remember you told me you'd like to have water.
Yes.
Did you always do that over there?
No. So the longest I've ever gone without a shower was 10 days. That was, and at the time what we were in, I didn't even care about a shower. I mean, that's like one of your 10 days that you just always have in the back of your mind. That's just there. Like a shower was the least of our worries at that time. It was kind of like doing what you're doing right now. I mean, we were up for 4 days straight on the road. Like it was
like just like a convoy.
Yeah. So we had to take. We are only supposed to be up for one mission. We were actually supposed to be taking a VIP from Baghdad, but we were in Taji, so we had to drive to Baghdad. And when I mean drive, at nighttime, you're only allowed to go like 15, 20 miles per hour. That's it. Everybody's in nods. Like, we have no lights going whatsoever. But, the roads are so fucked up that you don't know if they have an IED or something planted, like a roadside bomb planted.
You guys have a car up front doing, like, checking?
We don't have cars.
Or Humvee?
We have Humvee.
Do you have like a scout
So
Humvee?
so we do. So we had an ASV, which is like a fucking 4-wheel. It looks like a Tesla truck. Fucking
just something that can take an IED?
Oh yeah. So it's got a V bottom, so that way when the explosion goes down, it doesn't go through the vehicle. It shoots it downward back into the ground.
That's fucking engineering, baby.
Yeah. So we had a 2-hour ride to convoy to LSA to pick them up, and then we had to bring them all the way back through Solder City. So there was Camp Victory was over there, but we had to go through Solder City. And that's when we were coming back. We stopped at a base called Restamaya. None of this is OPSEC. All this stuff is out there, so people know. So we stopped at a camp called Restamaya. We picked up the group guys. They got in, and then we took them right into Solder City. And it's almost like they knew, like they had intel on this VIP or this movement, because when we got there, you know how you just kind of have that weird feeling like something's not right.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just the little things, like normally this light's on, or normally when we come through here, there's still people outside. You know what I mean? Like, because they're on curfew, but as long as they're confined to their own home, we can't.
What's the curfew there?
So at night, the second it goes night, you cannot be outside.
It's just dangerous type vibe.
Well, we own the night. Like that's the military saying. Like when we're in that type of environment, it's called we own the night, because that's when we make majority of all of our movements.
Okay, I've heard that before.
And so, so when we got them to LSA and Victory, or when we got them back to Victory, we were like, all right, we're turning and burning because we got another mission, within like 48 hours, but we got to go prep. We got to go do all the briefs, rehearsals, walkthrough. And I just remember telling myself, like, this is like, I was like, if there's going to be any time where I'm going to get into a conflict, I have a feeling it's just going to be now. And I was telling my gunner, like, hey, look, are you good? Like, I need you to be, like, on your shit. Like, here, take my 2 Rippets and just fucking pound them. Rippets or, like, Red Bull for the military. And so, so I remember giving him the Rippets, and he pounded them, and sure enough, within 15 minutes getting out the gate, they had it planned perfectly. We were staggered. We had 6 vehicles, and then we had 3 support vehicles in there. So like we had a wrecker, which is like a military tow truck guy that can just hook up our vehicles and go. We had an LMTV with like all of our extra stuff, so like water, MREs, fuel, ammo, anything we need
to keep you
and then
going.
and then we had another Humvee in between there, which was our comms Humvee. So like if you had to do like a relay or anything like that, we can push them out to get into contact with birds. So helicopters, Apaches, if something went down. Well, they knew for whatever reason the very first vehicle they attacked was the LMTV with all of our supply, like, and just shot like 2 RPGs at it, and we were like, shit's about to go down. So
I get the chills just listening to this, man.
So that happened, but it turned into like, hey, you want to attack us? And it turned into we went after them, and we were up. You know what I mean?
That's
so
you gotta, you know what I mean? If you let them go, they're just gonna do it again.
Yeah, exactly. So
it shows you if you can't show weakness.
It was very weird because like we were kind of waiting on the response from our higher headquarters, because we were in this fade where rules of engagement were starting to transition from like the wild west to like, okay, hey, we have to start showing some respect to, you know, the civilians there, because not all of them are bad.
No, for sure.
And so, you know, because before, like, if you were out past nighttime, and even if it was an emergency and you were caught driving around, and like if we were coming to overpass and they were driving up, our rules of engagement was to light them up, like no questions asked.
Like suicide bombers were
well, because at the time there was a pattern where they were driving vehicles on top of bridges and they were dropping like hand IEDs, so like they would almost like hand grenades, but they would explode and they would shoot this huge copper cylinder down either into the cinder or into the engine to disable it, or into the gunner's hatch.
Wow.
So we didn't want anybody like anywhere around overpass or anything like that. Like holding a shovel on the side of the road was rules of engagement to put you down. Like, because we didn't know if they were digging a bomb or anything.
Sure.
So we were like right in that phase where it was like, hey, here's the rules of engagement. You know, they can drive at nighttime. They know the signal if they flash their lights twice. And we're like, okay, like if you guys are telling us this, obviously the insurgents and Taliban know this as well. So yeah, so when it all went down, we were just like, you know, fuck it. We made the command decision and we went after it and took off with it. So
that's crazy.
No, it's not a grenade. It was like a hand IED, like a small canister. So they took like these coffee cans and they put little parachutes on them, and they filled the bottom half of it with like copper, like about a 2-inch thick of copper, and then they put explosives of metal behind it, so that way when the explosion went off, it melts the copper into somewhat of a bullet size, and it annihilates. I mean, that's honestly what destroys our tanks. It's not, or what destroys vehicles. It's not the explosion, it's the copper that comes out of that IED that impacts into the vehicle. Because then also copper catches things on fire, and which is why a lot of like when people get hit with IEDs in vehicles, they catch on fire. It's not because of fuel. I mean, obviously fuel has a lot to do with it. It's just because of the copper from the explosion causes that. Oh, but yeah. So I got through my deployments, did all that, and then I was fortunate enough to come back, and I got a gig where I was in Utah. That's how I got into Utah. It was actually one of the most fulfilling jobs, but also like one of the jobs where it really makes you think like you're lucky, because I got with the community-based warrior transition unit, so I got to work with soldiers that were, you know, injured downrange, and it's like one of the most humbling jobs, because it's like I'm here to help them, you know, either mentally, physically, to let them know like, hey, look, there's so many opportunities out there for you. Just because you lost an arm and a leg does not mean, you know, your life is over. You can do so many things.
I only imagine like losing a limb like that. Probably take some time to mentally get over it, but shit, you've seen a lot of people overcome it.
Yeah, and it's great, like, cause like for them to see like, hey, go out and share your story, but then to hear their stories, cause we always have like, we go up to Park City and there's a program called what was it? The National Ability Center. So their program was originally for civilians that were born with amputees, or they had a freak accident and they lost an amputee, and their whole program was designed to, hey, come here and we will teach you how to rock climb ski, ride horses, fish, whatever you want to do. And that's
have some fun.
Yeah.
Still do your thing.
Exactly. So that was a good program for us to buy into, and they
That's
brought
awesome.
us in. So to hear their stories, it's like, damn, I was in the same thing, and it's like,
you feel
yeah,
a little lucky.
little
I
luck,
imagine.
I mean, it's God. I'm a firm believer. I don't know if that's legal. Can we talk about that on chat?
What?
Religion or anything? Well, just me saying I believe in God.
Hey, religion. I respect.
I don't want to offend anyone.
You're good. I respect everyone's opinion. You know, we keep religion and politics out of it just because it can get, it can get some fights and whatever. I respect everyone's opinion and one life. You want to live your life, and whatever makes you happy, makes you happy.
I got you.
So,
a higher power was definitely looking over me when
dude.
I was there, because it's like, damn, I was in the same place, same location.
Really, that type of shit.
Yeah. So one of the guys, Sergeant First Class Jedlicka, and I only know him because he was one of those guys that has a success story. Was told he was never going to be able to walk again. He's going to be confined to his wheelchair. And this guy ended up coming to our program and ended up busting his ass off and making the Paralympics downhill bobsled team. Like, representing the Paralympics, you know what I mean? And they came from us. And they came from the National Ability Center. They saw his talent and they were like, hey, you're not going home. You're going to Colorado and you're going to train and you're going to train. And then after that, you're going to come back and you're going to try out. And he made the team.
That's awesome.
So... yeah, so he's a really, really cool success story. So after going from there, that's when I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and that's where the magic happened. That's where I learned how to bass fish, brother.
Oh, baby. Give us some background on bass fishing.
So, so my best friend, John, that's all you really... oh, wait, here. We may have the EOD memorial...
sorry. Man, thank you so much. Thank you enough for your service. Bomb Squad saying, sorry, Bomb. Mr. First One, I am or was. He's right. Anything. Most buried roadside. I think he's Bomb Squad, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah,
he's EOD, so
yeah.
Last Saturday was National EOD Day. Costa Rica, it's been 60 years with no army here. All is new to me. My respect to all those who serve their country. Hey, thank you so much, man. Thank you. Thank you, like,
No.
Yeah.
No, you guys do so much.
Thank you.
Chad, let me tell you something right now. I wouldn't be here right now. Like, my wife is like, are you really going on at 11 o'clock? I do this not for the clout, not for the fame. I do it because of how much this house gives back to veterans. I mean, so much. I mean, I've never met any celebrity, and regardless if you guys say you're not celebrities or not, you're a celebrity. If you walk out of this house and someone knows who you are because of social media and what's up, and they want to take a picture of you, that's a celebrity. So that has happened countless times, and we know this.
It's weird. It's
so weird. I know.
Yeah, it's weird.
But like, these guys are amazing. So that is why I'm here. But I'm here just to share my story, just because I just like how this gentleman said, I don't know your name.
Which one?
The one 60 years.
So we'll call it Roma. Okay,
Romo.
Good?
So like, you served, 6 years. Believe me.
No, sorry. He said he's been 60. He lives in Costa Rica. It's been 60 years with no army here.
Oh, okay.
He's saying all this is new to me. Mad respect to those who serve.
But a lot has changed. Like, two of the things I'm gonna go over that has just changed. We'll get into it, but it's gonna blow some of these veterans away. Like, so. I'm here for them, you know what I mean? Like, these guys definitely give back.
And we're here
beyond.
because of you.
Yes.
We got our freedom. That's why I love military, man. People forget how lucky we are to be as free as we are. I've been to other countries where I haven't been to like Iraq or anything, but I've been to like Brazil. It's pretty rough over there.
Yeah.
And, like, just seeing how other people live, it's yo Tank, what's up from the joint, baby? It's a weed shop that we always go to. What up, Tank? How you doing, baby? But what was I saying
about third world countries?
Just being in Brazil, man, like it made me so appreciative of America. Like, we got it made here. We got some shit fucked up, and every country got shit fucked up, and we're working for it. But we are so fucking lucky.
The opportunities that are available. So, like, I went to Puerto Rico 4 years ago, and I swear to God, that was probably the first time I really had like PTSD flashbacks. Like, when we were walking out of Old San Juan, and we were walking back to where our vehicle was at, and going down the streets, like just that walk, like I wasn't with Becca at the time, but the person I was with, sorry Becca, but when we were walking down there, she was like, are you okay? Like my arms and hands like went up to like the low ready, like for whatever reason. It's just because of just the atmosphere. And I was looking at stuff like the way things were boarded up, the way that cars were, the trash, the street. And then what really triggered it was like the smell. And like the infamous smell of Iraq is burning tires or burning garbage.
That means like
because that's what it smells like in Iraq.
Interesting. Wow.
The only time it doesn't smell like that is when you go into a building. But like when you go like outside and we're traveling, they're at nighttime they're burning trash or they're burning tires.
Wow.
And so that smell is very distinct. And it just happened to be that someone was just burning trash, you know, in a barrel like 2 blocks down, and it was just like, we need to get out of here. Like, and so yes, I'm okay with admitting like everybody has a form of PTSD, but I know my triggers and I know certain things and I know how to combat it, and like I've accepted it and I drive forward with it.
Is there any advice that like for people? We have a lot of vets here.
Yeah.
And I know some vets who struggle with it, and I imagine like I have no idea because it's hard to I put myself in other people's shoes. That's like how I feel like relate to people, but that's one of those things very hard because you kind of got to be there. I feel like to understand. So like any advice for someone who is struggling or like anything that you did that helped?
You have to be submissive, right? And what I mean by submissive is like you just have to accept it. Like you went through traumatic stuff, but I mean there's so much more worse that could have happened, you know? Like that's the way I look at it. There's always got to be something, but you have to, we call it MRT, which is Master Resiliency Training, and it's probably one of the best courses that the Army has ever afforded me to go to. And it's almost, we have the saying, it's called hunt the good stuff. You got to try and find the positive out of the negative, all right? You can't always be that egg, you know what I mean? You always want to be a tennis ball. You know that terminology, what I'm getting at?
No,
so if I throw an egg on the ground, what's it going to do?
It's going to fucking splat.
Okay, if I throw a tennis ball on the ground,
bounce back up.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? So, or then you have that iceberg. Remember I was telling you and I was showing you? Like, don't be an iceberg. So an iceberg, you only see maybe 20% of its growth on top of the water. And at the bottom is the 80% of it that's really boiling down. So although people may seem like they're cool and calm and normal on the outside, you don't know what's going on internally.
For sure.
So definitely with individuals who are struggling with PTSD, here's what I did. When I came back from my second deployment and I started to slowly go back into my ways of being an asshole and shutting everybody off, and my older brother grabbed me and he lied to me. He was like, hey bro, we're going to go to the casino. We're going to go have fun. We're going to go blow money. Let's go. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. This man put me in the car, drove me in the opposite direction of where we were going. And I was like, where are we going? He was like, no, we're going to this new place. I found it. Bro, he took me to the VA. Yeah. Took me to the VA and said, get the fuck out. I've already set up the counseling for you. There's a group in there. He was like, do you know why I'm doing this? And at first I was like, why? I don't need it. And he was like, don't make the same mistakes that I did coming back from deployment and thinking I was okay. He was like, I will not be able to live myself. He was like, what you choose to do when you get out of this vehicle, that's on you. If you want to get on a bus, if you want to call someone to come pick you up, I'm okay with it, because in his mind, he was like, I did what I could do.
He needed to do this.
Yeah, he needed to do it. It's like that saying. Yeah, it's like that saying. You can lead a water to the horse, but you can't make him drink it. So my brother took me, and I went into that, and I went in there. And I think at the problem at that time of like 2009, 2010, when you got in groups with a bunch of vets, it almost turned to like a pissing contest. Like who had it worse?
People.
Yeah, you know, like who had it worse? Like you know, and right off the bat, I got that vibe, and I lasted about maybe 30 minutes into it, and I just couldn't take it. I was like, who cares? Like we all are suffering from it. Why are you putting other people down? Like, how are you gonna say that your situation was worse than his? Like, you don't know what they've went through. You didn't. You know what I mean? To get to like one of the big things of helping people out there with PTSD. So what I did was I walked out of there. I walked to the bus stop, and there was this strange guy that was just sitting there waiting for the bus, and I could tell like he probably wasn't having the best day. But I sat down and I'm just sitting there shaking my head. And at the time I had like, the Motorola flip phones, and you had a T9 texting and everything. And I'm just going away texting. And he was like, you okay, son? And I was like, you don't know, I'm not. And I literally sat and talked to this guy. His name was Michael. Convinced Michael Martinez. And I sat and I talked to him for about 2.5 hours. The bus came by like 2 times. Like, you guys getting on? No, we're good. Come back around. Like, by the 3rd time, he was like, hey, this is the last time we're coming here. And by the time we had to get back on. But I talked to a complete stranger. And that was probably the most rewarding thing for me, because I was able to get everything out and nobody was able to judge me. He had no idea what I was doing. But the fact that he just took the time to listen. And then when he listened,
people out there.
And when he did what he did, like affirmation of him actually paying attention. Because when I would ask him questions, he would regurgitate like my question or the things I was asking him to really like let me know that he was paying attention. He wasn't sitting bullshit. He was just like, okay, sure, dude. No, like he was actively engaged in that conversation. So from there on, like I finally went home and I opened up to my parents. I opened up to my brother. I opened up to some of my friends that I ruined relationships with because I had PTSD, But I found a way by just having that conversation. And it's hard. It's hard talking about things, but I mean, you got to do it. You got to talk to someone, and talking to a complete stranger can be the most rewarding thing for you because they have no judgment on you. I'm not saying go out and just find someone randomly on there, but if you know somebody that you could trust, that is going to judge you ultimately with nothing you say or do, then find that person.
If it's a therapist, find a therapist.
But so I'm very cautious about therapy.
I'm too. I therapy helps people.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't help me. I don't like therapy. I deal with my stuff my own way, and I figure out how to. And for me, it's psychedelics.
Yeah,
might be a different thing. I'm a different guy, so obviously different things work for me. That's what's helped me. I know 10, 30, 40 people, friends of mine, family, that therapy has helped. So try it out. I tried it. I was happy I tried it, but it's all subject to opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and what I also did that helped cope with it, and that's fishing. Like, believe it or not, fishing is so stressful, and people don't think about it. Like, and it's like the type of fishing that I do. It's not just putting a hook or a worm on a hook and throwing it out there and catching fish. No, there's a lot of practice. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of strategic mindsets you have to go into. Like, you have to be prepared for that body of water because there's so many things that come into play. Water temperature, the night before, how much light was out, the way that the wind is moving, the bait fish, the temperature of the water. I mean, just so much of this comes into play on trying to find where the bass are. But when I got into fishing, and then I realized that the Army had a team, that you could try out and represent. And I was like, I could be in the Army and I could fish and get paid for it.
Perfect.
So that was a little imitation of Ku right there. But so I jumped onto it, and I volunteered so many hours, and the best part that I got out of all of it is that I look forward is 2 tournaments out of the year, and that's taking a veteran out on the water, because that's how I got into bass fishing. So there was a tournament called Fishing for Freedom, and that's where pros come out and they take soldiers, either active guard, reserve, or veterans, or disabled, and they put them on a boat. All expenses are covered that week, and there's a tournament, prizes and everything, but they give you everything, rods. I mean, they set you up. If you didn't have anything on bait or for bass fishing, you're leaving with like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of gear.
Oh wow,
for real,
that's amazing.
And it's huge. So at first, I did it all for the wrong reasons, because I was like, Lake of the Ozarks paid for the real. All I had to do was get in a boat and fish. I fished off a bank before, but I got partnered with a very well-known pro, and he opened my mind to a completely different world about bass fishing.
Pro side of it.
Yeah, the pro, like, totally different. And it was like,
not
wait,
casual fishing.
yeah, I was like, wait, what? he was like, hey, let's meet up Friday night. And we got to think of a game plan to go over this. And you not have any tackle or rods? And I'm like, they told me not to bring anything. He was like, it's all right. I got a spinning rod. I got a bait caster. You know how to throw a bait caster? And I was like, you push the button and throw it? He was like, all right, we're going to go with the spinning rod because you seem a little bit more confident with that. And so, I mean, this guy's blown me away with all this stuff. And I was like he picked up like this, it's called a wacky rig. And it's just a small hook. And it's got, you put a little rubber ring through the worm. And the worm's like maybe 4.5, 5 inches long. And you put a ring through the middle of it. And then you just put the hook through the middle. And it just floats like this. And I'm like, this shit ain't going to catch anything. How's it going to get to the bottom? Because, you know, we grew up on fishing on the bottom. And so, yeah, sure enough, we went out there and just slayed it away. Hey, so that one interaction, like, completely was like, I want to do this. I want to change a soldier's mindset on fishing isn't just fishing, you know, like fishing off a bank or something. Like, it's a sport. I mean, Jacob Wheeler right now, he just won 100K yesterday. You know what I mean? And he won by 0.02 ounces. Wow. And you know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you, he got lucky. Because the guy that came in second place was on the grind, was on the mission. And what got him from 9th place to 2nd place was his homework, his preparation. He knew where he needed to be at the time of the day. Like the last 2 hours, he was like, I don't care where I'm fishing at right now. If I have to sit here all day to get to this one spot, I know these fish are going to be here at this time period. And sure enough, he literally cut in half a 13-pound lead by the time, because Jacob Wheeler caught more fish throughout the day, but within an hour he added 13 pounds to his bag, and he lost the tournament by 0.02 ounces.
I bet he's
good
comeback. But
dude, here's the worst part: at like 2 minutes before the period's end, because they have the camera on both of them, he's down by 2 pounds 10 ounces, and catches a fish, and everybody's like, "This is it. He's gonna," you know, because Jacob Wheeler was winning the entire day. The entire 4 days, crushing every period. Had an 8. Dude, he's
the Michael.
Yeah, he's a Mike. He's a big dick. Yeah, okay. He's legit. So this guy gets this fish with a minute left over, brings it up, weighs it in. He's like, please just be at 210 or above, because if you're at 210, he was gonna win, even if they tied, because he caught more fish. And the weight guy was like 2 pounds 8 ounces, and you just see the guy's soul just leave his body on the water. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
rough.
Yeah,
that's rough.
So, but that's enough about bass fishing.
Sure. I was gonna say, you know, not just for, you know, non-military, you know, going through shit. Video games was definitely one of mine. You know, just be able to sink into a different world and just do my shit and focus on that, and you know, get away from reality a little bit. Which, you know, you don't want to hide from it, but I feel like it's okay to give yourself a mental break and just go into a good mindset where you don't have to worry about stuff. You know what I mean?
I think that when it comes to this stuff, I think everybody has some form of PTSD of anything from their childhood, something has happened, you know, either on the civilian side or military. But my biggest advice is you got to find something that makes you feel good, regardless of the outcome. You know, you got to find something, because and that's what I'm saying. I can go to a tournament and I didn't lose. I learned. You know what I mean? Like, you never lose. You
lose. You always learn.
You know what I mean? So, like, but I can go, you know, and be okay with my sponsors, you know, buying a $300 or $400 ticket tournament entry fee in there, and goose egging it. You know what I mean? But I can go back and tell them, be like, hey, look, this is the pattern that I thought. I'm better prepared for it now. It is what it is, you know.
That's how you gotta do it.
But that is why fishing has become so beneficial. Like, because, like I said, no matter the outcome, it's a huge stress relief. Now, does it take some time away from the wife? Yes, but I am blessed to have a rock, and this also falls into the second thing for individuals with PTSD. Is you got to have somebody you can fall back on.
Got to. It's so big.
And my wife is by far like my biggest supporter. I mean, we have gone, you know, we've been married for 4.5 years, and we've gone through some stuff like any other marriage and stuff like that. I think that was under your leg.
No, you're good.
Like any other marriage, and it's hard being dual military. You know what I mean? It's very hard.
Imagine.
A lot of sacrifices. But she is my rock. She supports me. I give her my schedule, and she's like, all right, do good. And no matter what, I can forget to like, because I'm so wrapped up, like, packing the boat, making sure I have everything. I'll be on the water, and I'll like 6:30 will come off, and I'm getting ready to launch off, and she'll shoot me a text. Good luck, baby. I know you're gonna do good. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, no, for
and
sure.
it's just like having that rock, like, and also having someone like, and it's not good, but sometimes you do it. Like, I sometimes just build things up and I lash out at her, but I know she knows me. You know what I mean? She knows that sometimes when I get into a funk, I'll hold things in, and then just the smallest little thing, and then just. But she knows that. Definitely, that's not a good thing to do.
But it's also like,
yeah,
it'll be perfect, man.
Yeah.
I got my shit, but it's saying,
yeah.
it's everyone has their shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I one of my buddies, the guy on my gym with, he always said, everyone's crazy. You just gotta find your crazy.
Yeah.
Find what matches you, what goes together, who you can live with. Run a life with. If you want to raise kids with. And all that. It takes time.
It does.
I've always been a relationship guy.
Yeah.
Always. I've always wanted one, so that was definitely something that affected me for a while, because it's hard to find somebody. You know what I mean? It's hard to find someone sometimes, but once you do, it's a good feeling, and
especially for what you guys do. Like, you don't have a set schedule.
It's rough,
you know what I mean? And it's huge. Like, you are blessed, to be, to have a partner that supports you 100%. You know what I mean?
I'm very lucky.
And,
I'll sometimes not see her for 3 days.
Yeah.
Just because our schedules are so awkward, and I'm like, I'll see her for like 30 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to sleep, babe, and she's like, all right. I wake up, and she's going to sleep, and I'm like, all right, I love you, and but it's I love the grind, and I'm also grinding. Like, eventually, I want to have a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like schedule wise, like I want to wake up, do a day stream, so I can have a normal schedule, and obviously have kids and stuff. But it's the grind now for that later. You know what I mean?
Rolling into the next segment that I thought that would be cool to talk about, and by all means, listen to it. The conversations we're about to have right now. This is real world, which is happening in the Army. All right, so we're talking about politics, but we're talking about things in a different way and how the Army is transitioning. So before, the past situation that caused all the riots and everything like that, and the murder of George Floyd. The number one priority was readiness. That was the Army's number one thing. And that readiness was broken down into like 3 tiers. So like mentally, physically, and then mission readiness. All right. So all 3 of those tied into the readiness. And that was the number one focus. And it was good because we had to be ready for combat, if anything was going on. But it also, and this is my own personal opinions. This is not the Army. This is Sergeant First Class Trujillo's personal opinion on how I interpreted readiness. It forced a lot of commanders to just make PowerPoint slides green. You know what I mean? Like, are you really green? Like, is your team really trained? Did you go to the field and make sure everyone qualified? Did you go to the range? Did you do all these things? Or are you just saying like, hey, everybody needs to be counseled, do a blanket counseling form, everybody sign in, boom, done. Well, that counseling form is there to actually identify strengths, weaknesses, and actually show potential. Train soldiers or teach soldiers, how to be leaders. But if I just give you a blanket counseling statement saying, hey, you're good, you're this, you're that, what do you want, blah, blah, okay, good. I mean, what did you get out of that? I'm not telling you, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing. You're not taking the time. We've lost the art of mentorship. Ultimately is what I'm getting back to. We lost that art of mentorship, and we watered down leadership just to make slides greens for commanders to say, we're good, we're ready to go. So when all this happened, when the riots and everything started happening, and people really started to take a step back, the Army changed, all right, and now it's called People Matter. People matter, people first, okay. And what we mean by that is that we need to invest into our soldiers. We need to ensure that, look, how are you doing? What can I do as your leader or your NCO or your commander to make you better? All right.
That's awesome.
And in the process of this, it forced leaders now, because we had the saying, like you just said it right here, we don't talk about religion, we don't talk about politics. That's the same exact thing across the Army. Like, you just don't talk about it. But we had to start having these conversations because, I have numerous of black friends that are dear to me. Like, they could call me right now show up at my house with a body and be like, all right, let's get this shovel. I don't know where we're burying it, but let's go, you know? And so, so hearing their stories, you know, and knowing about the things that they had to go through just by being black, being in the military, like, it is hard, you know, and having those conversations with them, because you have to listen, you know, you have to be open-minded, because there's a lot of things that, you know, people of non-color will never know what they have to go through, you know. And so the Army is forcing commanders and forcing leaders to have these hard conversations, because it's showing that we matter, you know.
Of course,
not
yeah,
just by saying, hey, let me hear your story, okay, cool, you feel better. No, it's actually genuinely investing into our soldiers now. So it is a very good change, but just just like any other change, we're human, and people try and take advantage of it. But so we have this thing called Readiness Day once a month, and in the beginning, it was really, really good. Like, we do a very good job where we're at, because our commander cares. Like, he's 100% committed and invested, but he makes sure that leaders are doing what they're doing. Like, hey, I want to see everybody make sure that they're getting individually counseled, and I want to see your plan of action for them to take your job, because that's ultimately what you should be doing as a soldier, or I mean as an NCO and as a leader. You should be training your soldiers to take your job, because you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like that's just how it is. So the Army is making a huge change with this readiness stuff. So definitely, I definitely see we're going into a positive direction with all this.
That's dope. I love that.
But you know, and you know, and I think it's helping retainability now. So because it all kind of ties into it, because at a time, soldiers wanted to stay in was very hard because of toxic leadership. It's that, like, do as I say, not as I do. You know.
Yeah, that's rough.
You know, you have that
leadership's
mindset.
everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you're following,
like
listening,
well, if a commander's sitting there getting ready to kick someone out because they got a DUI, but here they got a DUI and it just gets brushed under the rug, it's like, come on, like, you know what I mean?
No, I can't have
and
that.
so I've always been a firm believer. So I'm like, so we have this creed as a career counselor, and it's like, we're the honest broker between the Army and the soldier. But I'm the honest broker between the commander and that soldier. Like, I will go to bat for a soldier all day, every day. If that soldier is a squared away soldier, but they're not being afforded the opportunity to excel or show their potential, I'll tell commanders to their face, you have this rock star, but you're choosing not to, you know, invest into that soldier. Take that extra time, put them in a tough situation, and I think that's another thing. Like, some commanders and some leaders are afraid of failing, so they don't put certain individuals into tough situations. How can I get you to know something if you've never been through it?
Do it.
Because reverting back to combat, you're only as good as you train. You know, that's why we live by the motto: you train as you fight. There's no, like, packet punch or stopping power rounds of real combat that's gonna make you better. You are only as good as you train. So if your leadership only gave you, you know, you go into the range once a year to qualify on your weapon, and because you shoot 30 out of 40, hey, you're a sharpshooter, you're good. That just means I can hit a target.
Well, with nothing going on.
With not rounds going back at you, not explosions, not radio, not smoke, not gas, none of this other stuff that comes
just
in. And it's like,
range, casual.
just check, you know, like,
of course,
you know what I mean?
that's the readiness,
yes,
right? That's
the readiness portion of it.
That's dope.
So,
I like that's a good direction. I like that, because you gotta take care of your people. You gotta take, you know what I mean?
And we're doing good on that. So definitely, people matter, people first. And another thing. So now we're incorporating, like, we're incorporating families and stuff like that, bringing everybody in a close environment, because we're not, you know, like, a family is the soldier's backbone. You know what I mean? Like, if your family is unhappy and disgruntled, that soldier is going to be unhappy and disgruntled. And before, a lot of programs, it's called FRG, Family Readiness Group. A lot of that stuff was just check the block. Like, yeah, I have someone that shows up, and a soldier spouse is the one person in charge of it, and they meet together once a month, and what do they really accomplish? Now we're, like, incorporating them into this whole readiness week. Like, for our unit, we do, like, a family PT event, so they come out and do PT with us, physical training. You know, we take them to simulators. We're doing a lot of things. We're doing, like, strong bonds movements, like 5 love languages and all these things. So, yeah. But lastly, to cover on, I guess you could say this conversation is my job. Okay, so my job is to retain. Do you need to answer any of these? If you got to.
No, you can keep going. I'm just reading. I'm just getting questions.
All right. So my job in the Army is to retain soldiers into the Army, into the military, and that's either active duty, so keeping them in boots, or helping them transition to the National Guard or Reserve, or to the IR, Inactive Ready Reserve. That's my job. But it's also my job to evaluate a soldier on paper first and tell them, be black and white with them. You know what I mean? Like, you look like trash. Like, you've been in the Army for...
Sometimes people need to hear that.
Yeah,
like,
that's
people are so nice these days. Like, sugarcoating, beating around the bush. Like, sometimes you need someone to just be real with you, let you know what the fuck's up.
Yeah.
And wake you up a little bit.
Exactly. And I tell soldiers all the time, like, you look like trash on paper. Oh, can you see this? Sergeant, I've been to this, I've been to that. I'm like, you have no call. You've been in the military for 6 years. Cool, you've made E5. Cool, you went to ALC, BLC. Oh, you went to UPL? Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, you went to Air Assault School. But you're an 11 or you're a 12 Bravo. I don't think you can go be a combat engineer in the civilian side and do the same job that you're doing right now. Breaching walls and breaching and barbed wire and all this other stuff. You could probably go do that at the Border Patrol. I don't know, but in the real world, you look like trash. You've been in the Army for 7 years with no college. By the way, the Army gives active duty soldiers $5,000 a year for free for college. I knocked out my degree in 5 years by taking one class for my associate's degree every semester, and then when I got to my bachelor's degree, I took 2 classes, an online and an NC, because I was able to do it. I was in trade off. But the Army paid for that, and I still had my education to give to my daughter, so my daughter's college is now paid for. But this is what I'm saying, like, and how I would get them is exactly, at the time, it wasn't Call of Duty, it was Madden. So when I would have these conversations with them, and I would kind of already know, because I have like my little barracks NCOs that, hey, what does this guy do on his off time? Oh, Sergeant T, he's always on Xbox. He's always talking shit. He's running through the hallways. Who wants some? Let's go, And so I start out the conversation with him like, bro, what you know about Madden? And I trick him. I like mind fuck him, because I'm like, like, bro, I will smoke you, man. I was like, I'll let you pick my team. You pick anything you want. And they get in there, Sergeant T, I will crush you. I'm like, bro, how many? He was like, I'll tell you after you tell me, how many hours a day do you put in playing Madden? Oh, Sergeant T, I maybe like 5 or 6 hours. I'm streaming with everyone. I've been playing with them. I was like, you know how many hours I put in? Fucking 0. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, you know why?
Roll them up right there.
I was like, you know why? Because my ass was in college. And now you want to come in here and tell me about these big old plans that you have and how good you look on paper. But instead, is Madden going to get you paid? Is Madden going to pay your bills? I mean,
technically it could, but you got to be real good and quick, right? Yeah, 100%.
So, like, bro, like, okay, yeah, you can beat some soldiers in the barracks, but, like...
100%, that's the wake call people to hear sometimes. And that's a good little trick. You fucking reel them in, baby.
So that's where I call, like, my humbling. That's where I really get them to open up, like, oh, shit, he's right. And then that's when I flip it, and I'm like, look, man, let me give you a plan of action. Let me show you how you can do it. You have to have realistic goals. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you get some people on there that I think, like, for streaming, for example, you got people out there thinking that I'm going to quit my job, honey. I'm going to buy a computer. I'm going to just play and put a camera in front of me and a microphone. And in 2 months, I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Bro, is that a realistic goal? Hell no.
Don't work like that.
You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that.
Took me 3 years.
Exactly. You had to put in the grind.
I'm lucky. 3 years is... Sometimes people put... I know a streamer who put in 7 years before he made money.
Yeah.
And now he's 1,000 viewers.
There you go.
So
you put in the grind, you've built that relationship. So I give them that plan of action. I tell them, have a realistic goal. If you are really not happy with your job, then let's look at your records. Oh, you only have a 98 GT score. You ain't reclassing. So a GT score is when you go and take your ASVAB. So you have to go and get tested on your education, and from there it generates a score, which then affords you certain jobs in the Army that you can do. And 98 is a no-go. That's like, you're going to be combat arms, you're going to be a cook, you're going to be a fueler. Like,
what's highest you can get?
The highest I think the highest you can get is a 145. And I've only seen a 140 before, but I mean, those guys that get that's...
It's like some CIA type
Those are the guys that are like this in a fucking locked room with 7 computers in front of them, and they're just so happy as can be, and they never see a lick of daylight until they go home. That's if they go home. So we have anything and everything, and plus we have the baddest fucking thing out there, and that's an Abrams M1 fucking tank.
Can't fuck around, baby.
Bro, come at us with that. Go ahead, fly around with your little planes. That's cute. We'll just get in a foxhole and wait for you to get close enough. That's what we got artillery
what
for.
What can take an Abrams out? What do you need?
It's gonna take a lot. Like a very
stuff that they don't have over there.
No, something so simple. The second you break track, which is the track, your tank is done.
Really? Is it happen a lot?
It's I mean, my wife. Yeah, it happens all the time because you get inexperienced drivers, and it's just these little pins that hold the track pads together, that hold the links together, that are going. And so PMCS, if you pre-mative checks and services.
Do you recommend? Is it ROTC like the
so
do you recommend that for people who want to get in the military early?
If you have people that want to join and you just know that that's what they want to do, you know what? Put them through ROTC, because I will tell you right now, not even a wake up. There's so much more money. If you have 4 years of consecutive ROTC time, 2 years of those already count towards pay.
Oh wow!
And you're automatically guaranteed an E3. But if you served in a leadership position at your last year, so like as the senior, you were like the platoon sergeant, platoon leader, E4. And we're talking about hundreds of dollars per month. Like, we're not talking like 100, 200. We're talking about $700 or $800 difference in coming in as an E1.
So definitely, like,
so you know what? Yeah, tell them to go do it, because your child's gonna be more disciplined. And you know what? Like, who cares? The people are gonna make fun of him, like, oh, you're wearing a uniform. Yeah, you know what? Well, when you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, and I'm over here making $5,000 a month because
you get lost as a kid.
I know.
You know, you're so short-sighted. You don't realize, like, people don't tell you, like, I don't know. I wish someone was just like, you know, like, life's hard.
Yeah.
You gotta find your way in life. You gotta find what makes you happy. And it ain't gonna be easy, but you gotta do it. And you gotta grind.
Bro,
like, they tell you that, but it's like they don't like.
Yeah,
get ready. Yes. Like, life fucking is rough. Like, life ain't easy. You know what I mean?
It is not easy either, because. Like, I tell soldiers all the time, when you look like shit on paper, and let's say you did 5 years or 6 years in the Army, and let's say you were an artilleryman, or let's say you were a tanker. Have you ever heard of tanks as a civilian job? Okay? So, you took a 5-year vacation from your peer group. What I mean by your peer group is everybody that in the country, I'll just say everybody in the world that graduated that same year that you did numerous things. They went and got a job, and they worked their way up to being in a supervisor or management position in that 5 or 6 years. Or they went to college, got a degree, they went to a trade school, graduated, and are in a company, and they're already invested. And here you are, this 25, 26-year-old coming out of the Army, thinking because you served your country, hey, thank you for your service, you will get these amount of benefits. But in reality, you just took a break. You did nothing. You know what I mean? So now you're starting over.
I feel like some soldiers fall into that too.
Exactly. So, like, and that's what we're talking about, reality of world. Like, that is the world right now. It is all about what you look on paper. And, you know, believe it or not, like, LinkedIn, like, that's huge.
Oh, for sure.
Bro, like,
for sure.
We've done numerous studies, because we have the Soldier for Life transition program. So that's when, like, a soldier's, like, in their 12 months and they want to get out. What was that? What happened?
No.
So we afford soldiers. Like, we're not going to just say, oh, you don't want to serve? Okay, see you later. No, we offer them programs, show them how to do a resume, show them jobs in their area, show them what, you know, their benefits, show them trade schools that they can go to. And that is where we make a lot of our money, because as these soldiers start transitioning between, 12 months, they're all gung-ho, and then when they get to that 5 or 6 months and they realize that their so-called plan that they had on getting out and reality kicks in, they're like, you know what? Maybe I need a couple more years to, like, take advantage of schooling and get better on paper. So, yeah.
I'm about to ask, is that the thing where, like, the boot things, you have to, like,
so Cav Scout, so, like,
you have to, like, it's like a hard thing.
It's a spur ride. So you earn those.
Yeah.
So
even like because you told me like even like majors go in there or like not majors but
no majors do.
Majors go in there and they like have to literally kind of be the lower rank.
Exactly.
That's crazy. So is that just are they just like where would you deploy calves?
So Cavs go anywhere. So cavalry is
are they like
your
are
scouts.
they like a range? Okay, are they like a range? Are they like
No,
special,
no.
or are they more? Are they like ground infantry type vibes?
So here's how to break this down. All right. So you have your. How do I say it? Okay, so you have like your group, your special forces, your ranger, your SOAR, your Delta Force. Those individuals, that's the stuff you see like on TV that have the night visions that fly
those
in at
guys
night,
are those
Rainbow
just like
Six.
are those just the top of the class and then even higher the class type
Yeah,
vibe?
so they're all 11 Bravos. They're all MOSs. So you got to think, you being a ranger does not mean that you're just a ranger. That means that like we have career counselors that are in the ranger batch that have gone and tabbed out. Okay, so you're the elite.
Tabbed out is
which means you went to ranger school and you got the scroll. So there's still all the MOSs in that intel. That just means that you are now the elite of your CMF, of your career management field, because not only do you know your job, but now you're tactically proficient and fucking in that job as either being a ranger or special forces.
If I'm correct, are rangers, are they like, is their background to be able to go? Aren't they supposed to be able to go into areas and adapt to know the language and like?
So to me,
is that rangers?
No, that's group. So group is more of like the intel. Special forces are more like the intel. Rangers are like the grunts. Like I'm fucking
going
kicking
there,
in this door.
Because like obviously we sent the rangers in like it's like 3,000. Like,
exactly.
Obviously when that first happened.
Yep.
Rangers are just a little more special, like more trained in a sense.
No, they're just different jobs. That's all
different jobs.
Just different jobs. They all still have the same thing. They still have SEER. They still have selection, all that other stuff. But yeah. So you're back to the other. So scouts. So cavalry scouts is what a brigade. So for when we were in the 2nd ABCT, so the Armor Brigade Combat Team. So when we were at Riley, our fleet of tanks, we're not gonna just go running down into the freaking forest and just hopefully run into our enemy and go from there.
Send the Cav scouts.
We're sending the Cav scouts and we're sending them forward to collect intel to clear the battlefield for us. All right. And so once they figure everything all out, then we usually send in the engineer teams to get rid of the obstacles for all of our equipment to get through. So they're either setting up breacher wires, they're setting up bangalores, they're clearing that path for us to get to our objective. And then it's just like a leapfrog thing. Everybody plays their part in this whole, the whole battlefield thing. So yeah, so the Cav Scouts go forward.
I love it.
So believe it or not, a lot.
So the question is, how often do you encounter CIA? I'm assuming FBI type stuff out in the field.
So in our field, before I got into the 5th SFAB, never have I ever heard it. Never had any type of interaction with it whatsoever. But because the uniqueness of our organization, of the countries that we're involved in, we have to work with them to collect intel because they're already there established. They already have a footprint. They already know a lot of the things that we need to be aware of.
Of course, yeah.
So that way when we're sending our teams in there, we're not setting them up for failure. So yes.
And those, like, CIA, you gotta be a smart motherfucker, right?
Absolutely.
Do CIA come from military?
Yeah, so they go to Quantico. So a lot of them have some type of
smart dude, obviously.
Yeah. I have heard before of individuals going to college, getting a degree, and then going into it and doing stuff like that. But a lot of the big dicks that like kicking in doors and stuff like that are prior service.
Are there Michael Westons or John Wicks out?
Brother, I have to tell you right now, like if you want to be honest with you, yes, I have to believe that there is. I've never personally came across anyone, but I definitely believe that we have,
there's spy stuff.
There's stuff on there. But I do know it is I can't remember reciting it. And I can't remember what regulation it is because we almost violated this regulation when I was at Riley and we were going to NTC, National Training Center at Fort Irwin. It's when an entire brigade goes to get evaluated by the Army to say, yes, you are fit to deploy downrange. So with us knowing that we are going into Poland, we knew that Russia was tapping into their satellites and stuff and collecting intel through their cell services. So our brigade commander thought it would be cool to say, hey, in order for our 25 or our 17 Charlies and our 25 whiskeys to do their job, and if we're going to train for this to do real world stuff, we're gonna give them the equipment to let them get in to see if they can collect intel on us.
That's cool.
That is a huge no-go.
No,
like you
okay.
cannot collect intel on U.S. citizens or soldiers.
Sorry, I thought you meant. I was more thinking like they've run like operations on you guys to test.
No,
you.
so they wanted to give those EWO guys full access. EWO. Like I don't know.
Something crazy.
Yeah. These electric warfare or something. I think it's electric warfare or something. But these guys collect the intel, so they tap into the satellites. So what they were able to do though, because it's called General Order Number 1 whenever we go there. No cell phones out in the box. And so you have to leave your phones, either turn them off or just don't bring them out there and leave them back in the rear before we go out to the box. But they gave them access to tap into the satellites to see who was drawing a signal. That's how they were able to train. And that's how a lot of soldiers got in trouble. They got an Article 15, which is a no-go, because of electric warfare operators. Thanks, Dirty Bird. So,
are you a fire advisor with SFAB, or did you reclass?
No, I'm a career counselor.
Okay, so I just didn't know fire. What's fire advisor?
Oh, fire support. So he thinks I'm still a 13 Fox.
Okay.
No, that was my first MOS. I haven't been a fister since 2010, brother.
Fister, baby.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So long story short, that's what there's an actual law and a rule regulation that doesn't allow soldiers to spy on the civilian and stuff. We have the complete capabilities. Like we can go to my arms room right now and I can throw up a freaking ball and a little drone flying around and I can collect everything off of your phone without your consent or anything.
Some crazy shit. What's up, Ryan? How you doing, baby? McDonald's won't hire you with a dishonorable discharge?
I don't doubt it. So I will tell you right now, I'm willing to bet because I'm a huge stat guy. If I was to Google it right now, I'm wondering what the percentage was. Chat, if someone can do that, Google what the percentage in the country on how many major corporations use the federal background check. I wonder what the percentage of that is. Because when you have a federal, like a negative DD-214, bro, it's filed. It's in that system. So when you do it's called a DROG. So when they run that DROG, that background check on you, that DD-214 is going to come up. Damn. And you're pretty much shot.
Sure, we could definitely do that. I could bring him in Discord. So when we do a search and destroy tournament, they want you to come as a codcaster.
Let's do it.
You down?
I'm down.
All right, baby, let's do it. You should jump in and play with Freebies. You run solo? I just texted Freebies. You want to come play a little bit?
Yeah, I'll go upstairs and play.
All right, let's do it, baby. All right, guys.
All right, listen. I'm at closing comments. Listen, I am completely humbled and appreciative for Ku for allowing me to come out here and talk. Listen, this is just me breaking bread. This is me giving you, from my standpoint of being in the Army, and just telling you like what I see. All right. I know we hit on a lot of topics, but I think the most important one is, listen, don't be afraid to seek out and get help. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Like I said, you have to be submissive to change if you want to make improvement. And things get worse before they get better. All right. And like I said, to the people out there that I said direct message Ku to get my information, if you guys want to talk to me one-on-one about anything, I don't care. I'm a people's person. I will help anyone out if you need anything. If you want to get your kids in the military, if you want to get in the military, I'll point you in the right direction. All right. So I gotta go boot up.
Good fucking guy here.
I gotta go do some
push-ups.
Someone
said 95%. Just Google it.
There you go. 95%. There you go. Love you for doing that. But hey, I'll see you again, chat.
Hey guys, thank you guys so much.